And all cameras rolling. Hot metal in.
Okay, ready?
And camera set.
Come on, let's
ready
go.
And action.
Rambo is a very loyal character, and he's a very straightforward character in his beliefs and what he thinks. In the other Rambos, he was sort of always put in a situation or sent into a situation or forced into a situation that he had to write. This one, I mean, it's more obvious than any. This is the first time it's personal. You know, this is basically his daughter or daughter-like figure in his life that he's never had. So, you know, I think anybody, especially if you're a parent, but I think anybody can relate to the fact that if, you know, anything happened to your kid, it would just trigger, it would pop that lid open, which is what it does. I mean, you know, which is, I think, pinpointed very strongly when he throws away that medication. You know, he just throws that away and he says, I don't want to be there. You know, I take the medication for my PTSD to keep that lid on. I don't need that right now. On the contrary, I need that lid open, and I need Rambo to come out, that Rambo to come out, the violent Rambo, the vengeful Rambo. So when he throws those pills, it's that final sign of saying, I'm heading into that hell.
Well, you try to think of something that is relatable to the audience. And in Rambo 2, it became a one-man show, basically him showing his prowess. And then the same thing sort of in the third one under the guise of saving your friend. This one, it's truly trying to find an end. Where does the warrior go? He realizes that his job is to protect, and that's the only thing he's good for. But he knows if he's pushed, if something happens that's traumatic, he's going to revert back, and that's the last thing he wants. He just knows that if the only thing that he loves in the world is taken away, then he's going to bring vengeance, he's going to bring suffering, he's going to bring death, and there's nothing they can do about it because he welcomes it himself. It's really kind of a very dramatic piece, very dramatic as opposed to just random action.
You said you did what you thought was right at 17 and left, and nobody stopped you.
I wish they had. I know you want answers. Just wait a little while. Grow up a little bit.
You're going to see a very different side to him because he's never had someone where he had to raise them as his own. And so, you know, that's different. He raised me from day one. Well, not day one, but basically as his own. So it's a different kind of relationship. There's more sentiment in that. I think you're going to see a very emotional side to him.
What's that look like?
A small knife.
No. This is a Damascus steel letter rumper that I made for when you go away to college. You know, I grind these handles down. Beautiful, all white.
Good job. Killed it. Pretty much.
The only thing good in his life that he treasures out of all the horrors of war, really, you know, she's a breath of fresh air. It's the only thing good in his life after experiencing war and the horrors that go with it. So when she goes missing, he goes to his go-to emotion is war. His go-to emotion is anger. It's an easy emotion for him because he's the most comfortable with it. He's most comfortable when he's killing. He's a killing machine. So when she goes missing, that triggers something in him that is the easiest and most comfortable trait in him. And he, you know, when he goes down there, we'll see what happens.
I've always, and I don't apologize for it. There's no more vicious animal on the planet than a human being. And when a certain button is pushed, not for money, but just when your heart is ripped out of your body and you're covered in grief, the vengeance that you will exact is something that is horrifying. And you saw a little of that in the last Rambo. But that was more of a war. This is something that goes even, it's as deep as it gets.
When we were sort of conceiving and trying to understand how this Rambo would work, obviously we have had the issue that, you know, it's a much older Rambo, and how does that play out on screen? You know, he's no longer able to pull 3 horses single-handedly, you know, and drag them through, you know, whatever it is, or go out and single-handedly in an open field kill off 20 people just with a knife. This is now sort of coming full circle for Rambo. You know, in the first one, he wasn't a killer per se. Yes, he had the Vietnam experience, but he was a Rambo who just wanted to be left alone. Just leave me alone. Don't, you know, I'm just walking here, I'm doing my own thing. And in essence, that was the concept for this. It was Rambo is older. He can't take on hand to hand and fist to fist, you know, even 3 guys, let alone, you know, what he could in the earlier films, because he is an older Rambo. He's trying to come to terms with his PTSD.
The ending scene of this whole movie it's one big long action scene. I mean, it starts outside, cars blow up, and some people get shot, and I mean, we have a massive wall of fire similar to what we did on Expendables. So we borrowed some of the stuff from that movie.
Our second unit director on Rambo is Vern Nobles, who has done not only, you know, a couple of the Rambos, but has also worked with us on the Expendables and several other action films we have done. And because he's worked with Sly for 25 years, they have an understanding about, you know, what Rambo is. And along with Adrian, they've been able to really design the action sequences that are Rambo action sequences.
Work with Dado, the stunt coordinator, and we trying to figure out, you know, the environment that we're going to be in, how we shoot it. Then we storyboard it, and everybody looks at the storyboards and figures out. And then we pretty much stay right to storyboards. And I mean, things evolve a little, and the locations things don't quite go right sometimes, but I mean, I think the biggest key is we plan it all out in advance and everybody's on the same page. So if there's stuff that I'm using a stunt double where Sly's not there, then it just fits in seamlessly.
And now there's a difference there, because, you know, if you're doing a film like Expendables, the action in that tends to be different than the Rambo action, particularly for this film, because this film is still action full. But what this film has is a more realistic, more gritty action. What we've tried to do with this film in terms of the action is to sort of come full circle to the first Rambo film, First Blood, where you don't see Rambo with, you know, 2 rocket launchers in each hand blowing helicopters out of the sky. This is the Rambo from when we first met him, the Rambo that uses his skills, that uses his environment in order to take out and hunt down the bad guys. He's not the Rambo that comes in with a big bomb and blows everybody out of the sky or off the land. Here is a Rambo who relies on stealth, a Rambo who will go in unnoticed and take care of the business he has to do. That's not to say there isn't gunplay and there aren't explosions, but those are more rooted in reality, rooted going back to the first Rambo with kind of the real cool traps and things that he has set up in order to basically outwit these bad guys who he has gone after and who are coming after him.